All right, hey guys, can you hear me? Hey guys, we're gonna get started in a couple of minutes. The faster you sit down, the faster you'll be able to drink alcohol afterwards. All right, so come on in, get a seat. We'll start in a couple minutes.
We just wanted to make sure it was.
As is usually the case, there's lots of room up front. So I don't bite, don't be afraid, you can come up front. We'll get started in like 30 seconds. Yeah. Appreciate you, Monty. Yeah. Yeah.
He needs to look as long as he doesn't call us out. Let's go over here.
Don't quite know what's in. It's like, this is on. It's like towards the end.
Yeah, 48.
Yeah.
Sit down there.
Yeah, like get comfortable. All right, hey guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for being here. You know, I feel like I've been doing a lot of public speaking lately. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, but for some reason I think I've actually been a little bit more nervous about this one than some of the other community and Bozeman and other things, even though in theory this is sort of like a friendlier internal audience, but it's still sort of like I want it to be meaningful for all of you. And how do we make it something that's meaningful and interesting to all of you? What do you guys want to know? What do you want to talk about? So I have some other introductory comments to make, but the first thing that I want to explain is that we've made this as easy as possible to ask questions. Because what I really want is engagement, for you guys to ask some questions and be curious, be interested as to what's going on. Some of us, we created a program that we run out of the high school called Big Sky Futures, and we bring in various community and other sort of business leaders into the high school to talk about what they do and sort of expose the students to life after schooling. And but anyways, with Big Sky Futures, like, we could not get the students to ask any questions. Like, nobody wanted to raise their hands. And so then this wasn't my idea, one of the other students who was helping put this on, they came up with these QR codes. So you can take your phone right now, use the QR code, and ask anonymous questions throughout the presentation if you would like to do that. You can also raise your hand and unanonymously, non-anonymously, what's that word? But ask a question if you would like. Again, we sort of want the engagement, but you can also use this. But why are we here? Like, it's a Tuesday afternoon. What are we doing? We've done this before, the state of the company, but we didn't do it last year. Last time we all gathered as a group was in the summer of 2023, June of 2023, at the Montage, and we had done it the year before at the Wilson. But you know, there's a lot of sort of overlapping, somewhat complicated reasons as to why we want to do this. Number one, we want everyone to feel informed. We want people to feel transparent, whether you work at the Yellowstone Club and want to know what's going on at Moonlight, or work in Town Center and want to know what's going on at Spanish Peaks. Like, if you're part of our family of businesses, family of companies, you know, we want you to feel informed, and we want to be transparent. We also want you to like where you work and the people that you work with. And so this is part of, you know, getting together and helping make everyone feel good about the work that we're doing and sort of where you're working. We also want to have a little bit of fun, too, and sort of socialize and network and get to know each other. And so we're going to try to make sure this doesn't draw on too long. If I start talking too long, some people over here will probably pull me off the stage. And anyways, there's drinks, and hopefully it won't rain anymore, and we can hang out and socialize for a bit this evening. And so yeah, we're going to talk throughout the day about the company, about our projects and a lot of the projects that we do. We're going to talk a little bit about the broader Big Sky community in which we all work and live, and we'll touch on that. And then we've got some specific announcements and some kind of fun announcements to make towards the end of the presentation as well. So, yeah, with that, let's kind of dive in here. So, who is Lone Mountain Land Company? Well, I like to describe that Lone Mountain Land Company was really born from Cross Harbor's experience with the Yellowstone Club. We came to Big Sky. I came to Big Sky almost 18 years ago. Cross Harbor was kind of already here, but through our experience with the Yellowstone Club, we created Lone Mountain Land Company about 11 years ago, and it was kind of in the background for a long time. We viewed ourselves as stewards of Spanish Peaks and Moonlight, but you know, we weren't necessarily as forward-facing as we are today with all of our community work in Big Sky. And it's really been a big evolution. You know, we started out as a small, you know, development-focused organization, but the way we've all evolved, the way the business and the businesses have evolved, it is becoming not only a development enterprise, but a long-term operating business as well. And in that, from that perspective, like, we think of ourselves not only as a developer, but a community builder. We would expect Cross Harbor and Lone Mountain Land Company to have roles with Yellowstone Club, Spanish Peaks, Moonlight for a very long time, Montage, One and Only for a very long time. Like, we're here to stay, and it's a long-term operating model for us. Sometimes, particularly maybe outside the friendly confines of the barn. I love this space, by the way. But the people sort of think of, you know, this is like the evil empire, like the big bad Lone Mountain Land Company. Actually, people made stickers about that once, I think, but I digress. But we're not a big corporation. Like we're small. We are a subsidiary of Cross Harbor, but Cross Harbor is also relatively small, and we're an entrepreneurially, locally focused organization. We're also just super involved in our community here. Many of us, and by us, I'm referring to all of you, many of us live in Big Sky. Many of us live in Bozeman. I do live in Big Sky, but many of us live in Bozeman. And we're engaged here locally. We got kids in the school. We serve on boards. We do real community service. I'll probably do this later on, but a quick comment on the board service. We have a huge piece of advice and encouragement for all of you. Be engaged. I promise no one will ever tell you what to think or how to act or what to do, but be engaged. We encourage it all the time. Like, you think anybody's telling Sarah Blechta, where's Sarah, but telling Sarah Blechta what to do or how to think? No way. And so get engaged, be involved in whether that's in Big Sky or in Bozeman or in Ennis, West Yellowstone. Be engaged in your community. I'm not going to go through this in detail, but this is the past. This is our history, some key milestones over the years that sort of brought us to today. I mentioned it's been 11 years since we created Lone Mountain Land Company. I want to introduce some of the senior leadership. One of the things that I've really been working on the last couple of years is continuing to evolve the team, and the team that sort of works the closest with myself and Cross Harbor. And I'll just share this. I probably shouldn't share it, but I'm going to anyways. It's what I've been thinking about is the three key things to be a senior leader within Lone Mountain Land Company. But number one, you have to be really good at your job, really smart, really competent. Like, that is foundational. We have to be really good at what we do. But that's not it. Like, there's other pieces of the puzzle as well. We can do nothing alone. As individuals, like, nothing will happen. Like, look at what all this work is in Big Sky. It's all complex. It takes teamwork. So if you're going to be successful in this business, in this organization, you've got to be able to work well with others. You've got to be able to be a great team player. And the third piece of the puzzle for me is like relatively no drama. That doesn't mean no drama. Like, people have issues, you can talk about stuff, but like, how's it going to be managed? Like, relatively no drama. So anyways, these are the three keys to being a leader within Lone Mountain Land Company. I'm not going to call everybody out, but our other VPs and senior leaders across development, sales, property management, investments, big thanks to all the team members, senior team members that we have with us here today. On the operational front, want to call out our general managers, and with Monty and with Greg, our assistant general managers for YC and with Moonlight. It's amazing what we do every day, and like sort of all the people involved, and we couldn't do it without this group. We'll talk about it a little bit more later on, but the hotel folks, and quick show. I got some of the Montage team is here. Quick show of hands. Serge, where'd Serge go? We got some of the one and only team. Is anybody else on your team here, Serge? Just you. You're here representing. Well, this is the sentiments that I want you guys to take back to the entirety of your teams. Yes, there are third-party entities, third-party organizations involved, but here in Big Sky, we're one family. And that's really the sentiment that we want to share. This also ties into my earlier comments on why we're here. We want to create opportunities for people. Maybe today somebody's working at Moonlight and there's a better opportunity at Montage, or whatever the case may be. But across all of this work, we want to create great opportunities for people, and that's part of what we're doing as well. So yes, our family of businesses, we appreciate everyone being here. I've talked in the past about our sort of 4 key stakeholder groups, the entireties of the communities that we work in, our investors, our members and our homeowners, and our employees. And that's really why we're here today is talking about our teams and the work that we're doing and helping everyone feel educated and sort of reasonably good about their jobs. But look how big it's become. Like we kind of put a lot of numbers on here. Where's my man Patrick? He's around here somewhere. He helps me with all the numbers. Patrick Smorrell, we'll talk about him more later on, but he helps me dive into all these details. These were not rounded. No rounding occurred in the formation of these numbers. But we have over 3,000 employees that are part of our family of businesses. Like, that is a lot of responsibility that we take very seriously. Like, we want to be a great place to work, a great employer, a great community. I'm not going to go through all of this in too much detail, but on the right-hand side, we break it down by YSC, Spanish Speaks, Moonlight, and CMR. Here we break it down between the various components of the development organization. One thing I did want to call out, and we'll talk about environmental later on, but we have a 10-member environmental team working across 30,000 acres of land. That's unusual for a development organization to have a 10-person environmental team, but it's an example of how serious we take that work. It's really interesting. What category here, though, has the number one amount of employees? Food and beverage. That is like the most important. Like we have to feed and fuel people, and it's hard. It's hard work to be. There's a lot of folks in this room that know what I'm talking about. That it is hard to be great at F&B. We're striving for excellence across the board, and we're doing a great job. 85 members of security. Tom Butler, like Tom is here. Does an unbelievable job keeping us all safe. You should get his cell phone number. He might not like me saying that, but if you get yourself into a situation, like Tom's who you want to call. But anyways, let's keep going here. So text on this slide, but I wanted to take a moment and just sort of acknowledge the importance of the place. Like, we do take a lot of responsibility as the lead developer and employer and property owner or steward here in Big Sky. We take a lot of responsibility in this place. Like, the place is incredible, and I'll touch on it throughout the day, but probably in some ways not as much as I talked about it last week. But I just want everyone to know that we appreciate the uniqueness and how special Big Sky is, and it's just foundational to who Lowell Mountain Land Company is, who this organization is. Even as with CMR and as we might do other things other places, we are who we are because of Big Sky, and we're working to nurture this place long term. So where are we headed? I mean, we've talked a lot about, or not a lot, but a little bit about where we've been, and we've talked about why we're here today. But I also want to spend a little bit of time, and we'll do this throughout the presentation, but thinking about where we want to go from here. Balance in life is having balance between past, present, and future. Sort of having learned from and honored the past, being able to live in the moment and the present, and being able to have a vision towards the future. And we want to have a view of where we're all going. I have some days where I feel like, we haven't solved everything. We haven't done everything. But we are coming to work tomorrow too. It doesn't all have to happen overnight. And so for each of us in our roles, in our work, there's a vision of where we're going. There's a vision of how we can improve our organization, our operations, our communities, and so each of us plays an incredibly important role in this. Okay, so I've briefly touched on this, but some of you know, some of you might not know, that we had a big open house last week, community open house for Lowell Mountain Land Company. We took a lot of Q&A from the whole community, and we talked about sort of really from a community perspective what we do with an outward-facing Big Sky audience. There's a lot more in that than we will get into today. So if you want to dive deeper, here's QR codes. There's an Explore Big Sky article. There's a YouTube video kind of like this of me talking. Quick funny side bit on that. My mother has watched it twice. And I also sent it to a friend of mine from Virginia, and he said to me, "Why did you send this to me? Are you trying to put me to sleep?" And but anyways, if you want to go even deeper on like community Q&A, take a look at this. But the biggest theme that I talk about when I talk to the broader community audience is that for Lone Mountain Land Company and our relationship with the entire Big Sky community, we have these two huge interdependent goals. We want Big Sky to be a world-class resort destination, and we want Big Sky, and with our connectivity to Bozeman and the rest of Southwest Montana too, but we want Big Sky to be a thriving year-round community. And so everything that Lone Mountain Land Company does holistically is rooted in those two goals. I would say the existence of our three resort projects, YC, Spanish Peaks, Moonlight, the Montage, the One and Only, these are all things that are making Big Sky a world-class resort destination. Town Center, the housing investments that we've made, the commitment to livability, our role as an employer, that's all part of making Big Sky a thriving year-round community. When you put those two together, what we really want Big Sky to be is the best mountain town in the world. And you guys are all a big part of helping make that happen, so thank you for being here today. All right, let's dive into some projects. And this is where you're not interrupting if you have a question. It's okay. If we're talking about YC and you have a question, ask ahead. The Yellowstone Club, before we dive into YC, this is a very important slide. This is sales data from the last 12 years. What I want everyone to understand, regardless of whether or not you're part of the YC Realty or team or part of the Big Sky Real Estate Company team, and for those of you that are, thank you, and thank you for being here. But sales are an incredibly important part of the business. It's sort of that tool. If all we were ever doing was operating, I don't know, like it'd be harder to strive for greatness. But it's I have to quote Mike Duquesnoy in his acknowledgement and recognition that sales is the printing press for what the rest of the business does, and that's true. But sales and the results of growing our community, our projects of bringing new people here, it's how we have the capacity to continue to invest and strive for excellence in all that we do. And so, overall, the market is pretty good. It's been better. The economy nationally is tough, but Big Sky is a special place. People want to be here, particularly at the YC, but people want to be here, and the market is there for us, and we believe we're going to keep growing as we move forward. So diving more into the YC, obviously, many of you work here. Many of you have been here before and understand it in various degrees of depth. Some of you, this is your first time ever in the barn. Welcome. Or your first time ever to the YC. Welcome. The Yellowstone Club is an incredibly special place. We have the stated goal here, it's not a small thing, of being the best private club in the entire world. That's not a small thing. There's other people out there on the planet trying to do things that they think might someday be almost as good as what we have here, but the YC is truly exceptional. It is meaningfully built out today. Like from a membership sales standpoint, it's 95% sold out. When we think about those employment numbers, over 3,000, half of them are from the Yellowstone Club. So it is in terms of our presence here, it is a monster operation. One thing that I wanted to talk about that we don't have within the slides here that I think is good for everyone to understand is that we're doing something incredibly unique at the Yellowstone Club right now with what we call the Membership Enhancement Plan. And so many of you understand that for members of YC, Spanish Peaks, and Moonlight, you fund a deposit, and that, in addition to buying real estate, that's the mechanism for becoming a member. You fund a deposit. If you leave, you get 80 to some percentage of your deposit back. Well, what we are doing at the Yellowstone Club right now is continuing to strive for greatness, finding more and more ways to exceed the expectations of everyone involved, and doing things that we couldn't have even contemplated 4 or 5 years ago, that we might do in the Yellowstone Club. But we're close to being finished with development. And so there becomes a point in time where future development can't pay for everything. And so with this membership enhancement plan, we are actually charging all of our almost 900 member families an additional $150,000 apiece, and then that investment will be used to build new ski lifts, to execute additional skiing on the top of Eagle Mountain, to expand the golf experience, and to make further improvements to the Warren Miller Lodge. But it's a really interesting model of how to continue to pay for that kind of striving for greatness when there's a limited amount of future development, and development can't pay for everything forever. We're going to show a quick video of the Village 2 project, and I'll talk about it a little bit while we're watching the video. So yeah, this is a rendering. It's not actually it doesn't exist yet, but the Village 2 is it's the third largest construction project ever in the state of Montana, behind Village Core Phase 1 and Montage Big Sky. Maybe actually fourth behind One and Only. I'm looking at Kevin, like we need to check on that, but it is the most expensive project ever in the state of Montana. It's being built by PCL Construction. The team there is doing a phenomenal job. There are 35 condos across three different buildings, kind of on both sides of the gondola. The village will expand with an additional restaurant, an expansion of the pool facilities, and the ice skating rink that you just saw. And I think that what most YC members are most excited about this is that it means construction will soon come to an end in the primary base area of the YC. Now I say soon because actually there's still a couple other little things to do, but you know, it's interesting. It's not only people outside of YC that complain about construction traffic. People inside of YC complain about construction and construction traffic as well. But it's going to be a spectacular project. Hart Howerton, who has been a big partner of ours in various aspects of our development work. Any questions on YC? We're gonna dive into. Oh yeah, question. All right, yes, ma'am. Rose, hey Rose. I'm really glad you're answering a question, Rose, because like I saw you standing back there. I didn't have a chance to say hi yet. By the way, this is Rose Gallagher. Rose is the membership director at Spanish Peaks, and I literally had the thought when I saw you is that you're like exactly who this presentation is designed for. It's for no disrespect to like Hans and Monty. These guys know most of this stuff. But so I'm glad that you're asking a question, Rose. Thank you. That's a great question. So not to sidetrack us too long, but it's actually the second time we've done it. We previously did a membership reduction and enhancement plan where we charged higher deposits and reduced membership. So this is kind of the second time we've implemented it. It is a one-time thing though for this, but it's an example of how other things could be done at all three clubs. Think at Spanish Peaks, think about, maybe like major improvements to the existing golf course and things like that could get paid for as, it's not a capital, it's not a, what's the word I'm looking for, but it's not just like a charge to the, it's not an assessment because it goes as an addition to their deposit structure. If they were to leave, they get the money back. But it is an example of, or a case study and things we could do over time at Spanish Peaks and Moonlight as well.
Matt, we do have a question.
Sure.
Not sure if this is pertaining to YC, but how would you respond to a club member who believes the developer should always subsidize club operations? For example, not a financial goal of break even through dues until the club is turned over to the membership.
So the question being, how would we respond to a member that that thinks we should always subsidize the operation, I would say that member is wrong. And I think ultimately they understand. This goes to financial sustainability. I don't think I have a chart in here on like resort tax, but I could talk about financial sustainability for a long time. But it's very relevant with the 3 club projects as well, to have grown and nurtured them to a place of operating sustainability. When we bought the Yellowstone Club in 2009, the annual operating deficit was over $15 million a year. Like, that's unsustainable. Now, a certain amount of future development can pay for these things over time. But I would say if a member asked me that question, that we have some work to do to educate the member on why financial sustainability and operating break even, including with CapEx reserves, is the healthy thing for their community. Spanish Peaks, not quite as big as the Yellowstone Club, but growing pretty significantly. We had the chance last year to open Tom's 10, which was the sort of the last canvas for the late great Tom Weiskopf, designing a 10-hole par 3, inspired by his travels all around the world and all of his favorite golf holes. So great job to Ryan and the team with Tom's 10. We have quite a bit of work going on. We have a new yurt at the base of Southern Comfort with Spanish Peaks. Tennis and pickleball has been kind of ahead of the curve at Spanish Peaks. I got to give some props to Spanish Peaks. Hans is chasing you, Carrie, with his goals around pickleball, and Mike and Greg hope that one day we will have some courts. But yeah, anyways, we've got a lot going on with Spanish Peaks with, here we go. I wanted to make sure we took a moment. This is a big deal. Carrie, stand up for a second for me. Wanted to recognize Carrie and the Spanish Peaks team for being recognized as iconic. You are iconic, Carrie. And Spanish Peaks being recognized as an iconic, distinguished golf destination by this distinguished club organization. We didn't task the team with this. That was something they proactively did to properly get Spanish Peaks with some amazing recognition. So thank you, Carrie and the team, for that. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Spanish Peaks while we're playing this, but we've got, last year, by the way, in calendar year 2024, this is kind of hard for some people to believe, but we had very limited construction starts. Obviously, there's a lot going on. We were finishing the Montage Inn. We got the One and Only. We had Village Phase 2, housing. But the only thing we started construction on in 2024 across the whole market was Aspire, our new amenity building at Spanish Peaks. Whoops. Can you play that video, Garrett? Thank you. To our Montage team members that are here, you're right in the heart of Spanish Peaks, not just part, like really the heart of the community there with us. This is a new road that's being built that goes up past Aspire. You can kind of see it in that picture here. They will go up to the bottom of Southern Comfort, to the top of what we call Powder Crest, and then back around the other side of the Highlands. And this is Aspire. I have to give credit to Christina Calabrese, who's not here, no longer with Lone Mountain Land Company, but she had been our lead project designer on this. Really amazing facility that will fundamentally change Spanish Peaks for the better. Spanish Peaks has been a one clubhouse facility. Granted, we built the Montage, but it's been a one clubhouse facility for since inception, and now we'll have an additional expansive clubhouse experience for its membership. Lake Flato designed, and obviously, whereas the clubhouse is quite traditional, Montage leans more traditional with a little bit of contemporary inspiration than the Lake Flato designed Spire building has the more modern contemporary elements to it. Any other Spanish Peaks questions? Yes, ma'am. What percentage of utilities? We do have solar for the building. We've tried to do more. Energy is a great question, and something that we've looked at doing more sort of individual solar systems. It's remarkably difficult and inefficient, which is the opposite of the goal of things like solar and cleaner energy. So we've kind of pivoted with our approaches. There is solar there. If you've noticed, there's solar on the top of Bucks. There's solar on a lot of the housing projects that we've built. But a lot of our sort of energy efficiency works has pivoted to be working more with Northwest Energy and trying to work with them to have the grid be as green and clean as possible versus anything specific. It's inefficient to try to build something for like a neighborhood in Spanish Peaks or even for the Big Sky community. What would be better is to make the state of Montana's energy cleaner and greener as possible. And so we do work extensively with Northwest Energy on that. Montage Big Sky, I meant to do this earlier, but Victorio is not here today, but I wanted to really tip my hat, so to speak, and give a huge amount of gratitude to Victorio and Christian, who's working now in Victorio's absence. But Victorio stepped in when he joined us 3 years ago. It was a challenge. Like it was a mess, and Victorio did an amazing job of helping us right the ship in a way that now Montage Big Sky is doing amazingly well. We're very happy with the asset, with the performance. Of course, there's always more to do, and there's always more to do and more greatness to strive for. But we couldn't be happier with where we are today, thanks to the team. So Christian passed those sentiments along to Victorio for me. But one of the great things about Montage and One and Only is there's no complexity to employees going and using it. It's open. It's open to the public. Go take your family out to dinner there when they come and visit, and be able to utilize these restaurants and these facilities. Back to Moonlight Basin. There's been a lot going on with Moonlight Basin. We do have 3 clubhouses today between the main lodge, the Lake Lodge, and the golf course clubhouse. We've made a huge commitment to conservation with the big easement that we did all along the Jack Creek Road. I won't go too deep on my Jack Creek Road jokes today, but big commitment to conservation and to the wildlife corridor that exists there. Over 600 members. It's kind of a competition between Carrie and Mike and the Spanish Peaks and Moonlight teams. Right now, Moonlight's winning. But Carrie, you've got a lot of product to sell with the Inn and Inspiration Point. So maybe by the end of the summer, if we have a good summer, maybe Spanish Peaks will be back ahead of Moonlight. So there's your competition. I also wanted to, in terms of our Moonlight work, call out the celebration that we had in December around Madison 8. This was one of the most fun days I've had in Big Sky when we opened Madison 8, the One and Only gondola, and the Sky Lodge all at the same day and all open to the public, and just a really big deal. This was a decade plus in the making with Big Sky Resort to be able to pull this off. We also learned a lot that will help us with our next generation YC lifts with Lake Lift and Lodge Lift that we're going to upgrade to these fancy D-lines over the next handful of years. And it's also a model. We have more to do with Big Sky Resort. I mean, is Big Sky a world-class resort destination? Yes, it is, partly because of the amazing investments Big Sky Resort is making in the lift infrastructure. The tram is unbelievable with the gondola next year. It's amazing what they're doing on the mountain. And if anybody has sort of complaints about on-mountain food and beverage, well, you know what? That's part of why Spanish Peaks and Moonlight are as compelling of an opportunity as they are. And so, but the quality of what Big Sky Resort does in terms of lift infrastructure, and we've got more to do. There's more to do at Moonlight. There's more to do on the Spanish Peak side of the mountain with Southern Comfort, and so look out for continued lift improvements over the coming years. One and only Moonlight Basin. It's kind of fun to open it like multiple times instead of just one all at once. And we had the Sky Lodge last winter. This summer, we're opening the spa building to some of our homeowners that we already have at the One and Only. And then Moonlight Basin owners. And Serge, some members of the general public or no for the spa? I can never get that. Yeah. So if you need a massage, you go out to the One and Only Spa later this summer and check that out. We'll have 70 employees this summer. It is the first one and only resort in the United States, which we consider to be a very big deal. I'm going to play the video, and we'll keep talking about the one and only a little bit more while we're playing the video. Run, Garrett, run. 92 keys, 62 homes. We have 38 of those homes that are being built right now, and the remainder are in a final phase. Of the 38, I believe we've sold 32 of the 38, but have a few more left to sell. Whereas the Montage Big Sky is a massive amount of building on a small amount of land, this site is more spread out. But and the goal is to sort of make Moonlight continue to feel these pods of density within a sea of open space. I talked earlier about the different architectural styles. With Montage, we hired Hart Howerton, and it was very much a lodge-inspired design. This is quite different. This was a group called Olsen Kundig, a more residential architecture firm historically, but very contemporary, big vistas, big views, big windows, but also kind of blends in with the environment. And Tom Kundig, we had him out about a month ago, and he couldn't be happier with how the project is turning out. In the West Guest Lodge there at the top, we had a small, maybe medium-sized fire there last fall. Big thanks to the Big Sky Fire Department for keeping us safe. And ultimately, the fire gave us a good excuse to delay the grand opening from this summer to November. But the whole hotel will open November 18th, 2025. And so very, very passionate and excited about what this project means for the Moonlight Basin community and for the whole Big Sky community. Any questions on One and Only or Moonlight Basin? Yeah, a couple questions.
If you don't know, but what was the thought behind...
Here's the mic. I don't have to repeat it.
Thanks. Just curious, what was the thought behind the all-black campus, like the Nordic noir vibe going on at One and Only?
Well, you're probably asking specifically about the Sky Lodge. I think when the rest of the building is all said and done, by the way, there's an Akira Bach. He's a famous sort of Asian-infused chef that has a restaurant there. I think when it's all said and done, there will be beautiful art on the walls. We've worked with my friends at Echo Arts out of Bozeman to have a lot of amazing Montana artists featured throughout. But what I would say about the Sky Lodge is it was designed with sunlight in mind. And when you're there in the winter at night, it is a little dark. But we've got more lights planned for the outside to kind of open it up. But I don't know that you would feel that darkness if you're there in the daytime.
No worries. Thanks.
There was another question, I think, on One and Only or Moonlight. Nope. All right. Well, you can ask later, too. It's okay. Where am I going? Sorry. Crazy Mountain Ranch. So this is we've got David Hardwick here and Mac Grobe from Crazy Mountain Ranch. This is our, as Low Mountain Land Company, this is our first meaningful sort of foray outside of Big Sky. Like anything, it doesn't all go perfectly. It doesn't all go easily. There's a lot of work to do. But the Crazy Mountain Ranch is an unbelievable project. We had the chance to buy this from Philip Morris coming out of COVID, and we're developing a very special private club destination with an 18-hole golf course. It is a working, operating ranch and has all sorts of amazing activities. One of the things that's been really fun for me to see is the sort of cross-employment opportunities that have come from this. A lot of folks from Big Sky have gone to work at Crazy Mountain Ranch, or people from Crazy Mountain Ranch have come to work in Big Sky. That's probably been my favorite thing that we've seen from it, and just the sort of creating these employment opportunities for folks. Bucks. So, okay, I'm not sure I thought about exactly where I put this in the presentation, but our Bucks update, so the old hotel is now the housing campus for the One and Only. And so we're, Surge is pumped for that, to have the quality of housing here. We just opened another building that was built with Highline and cross-laminated timber construction methodology. It's a little bit more contemporary, sort of Scandinavian design. But anyways, all of the housing, all of the hotel rooms, the housing there is a campus for the One and Only project. The restaurant, we're looking for an operator. So I made some jokes about that last week that I won't totally repeat today. But we do have a commitment to reopen the restaurant. We want it to be vibrant. But running things in Big Sky is hard. We know, we do it. It's hard, it's complicated, and we're trying to figure out the best way to run and operate Bucks going forward. I think we're going into some of the town center stuff, so I'll make this point now. But when we first started working outside of the 3 clubs with Town Center, it was really sort of a bottom-up approach. We just wanted to be like a landlord and support the community and support entrepreneurs and help people, help local business owners and local businesses thrive. What we've learned over the years is those entrepreneurs really need a lot of help. And what we ultimately have learned as well is that we're going to need to operate and run some things outside of, under the family of businesses under our umbrella, because the local entrepreneurs just can't do it all. And so that applies to our approach with Bucks. That applies to our approach with Block 3 and Tips Up. I know where's Mandy and Lindsay and some of our team with the Wilson and HHM is here today. I think Colin was here. He might have had to leave early, but Colin is our manager at Tips Up. I mean, the goal for Tips Up is to be where YC Spanish Peaks and Moonlight folks go after work. I mean, that is really the goal for Tips Up, to have great live music and to be that community gathering place. And so, let's make it that. And some of you are and enjoy it. And to have these, the vibrancy that we would seek there. Vibrancy is a big thing for us with Town Center. We've got a lot of work going on around events. We work with Outlaw, we work with the Arts Council, we work with the WAMPAC, all around producing more events and activities across Big Sky. And we've also Thad, who's here today, who plays a ton himself, also helps us book live music across all of our projects and across all of Big Sky. So this sort of vibrancy and live music, who doesn't love live music? It's a key to the sort of fun vibrancy that we would seek for this place. In Town Center today, we do all of our commercial spaces are leased. We have one little transitional thing going on. We've built 80 units. 2 of them were condos that were sold, but the other 78 units in Town Center are 100% leased to people working in Big Sky. That's who lives in Town Center, is individuals working across Big Sky. And we're looking to continue to grow that. We want the importance of Town Center as the gathering place for Big Sky. And it happens naturally in the summertime because of the farmers market and because of the music in the mountains. And then it's a lot harder in the wintertime because people kind of go to their houses and they go skiing. But Town Center is where everybody coming to Big Sky, whether it's Yellowstone Club, Spanish Peaks, Montage, Moonlight, One and Only, Big Sky Resort, or an Airbnb, everybody comes to Town Center. That's the goal. And so we've got to continue to make it as vibrant as possible. We do have a new hotel that has started construction. This is our first big new construction start of 2025 and is a big deal. It's a big deal for our company, and it's a big deal for our community. It's unbranded, so we call it Hotel Free West. It's not affiliated with Marriott or Hyatt or anything. but we've partnered with a group called Columbia. They run the Lark in downtown Bozeman. Some of you know that. They run the Sage Lodge in the Paradise Valley. They run the Wren in Missoula. And so they're a big company across the Pacific Northwest and nationally, but they already have a good presence in Montana, and that's a big part of why we chose to work with them on Hotel Free West. So this is under construction now, being built with Dick Anderson, and 81 rooms. It's kind of, in terms of like where it sits in the market, it's in that giant gap between the Wilson and Montage. And we'll do some other things over the coming years to continue to fill out that gap in the market in terms of sort of price point and whatnot.
Matt, can you expand on the PBR area development and what's happening there and around it?
Sure. Was that a question? Or are you asking that?
No, that's a question submitted by an employee.
Just checking. And I will go back to this map here. But so first of all, I think we've agreed where it says future residential here, this is where the PBR is located. And did we agree to 5 years? I think this is year, or 3 years. 3 years. This is year one of a 3-year extension for the PBR. And beyond that, we're still figuring it out. You know, what is the future of rodeos and arenas? I would reiterate our commitment to vibrancy and our commitment to community, but there's a lot that we don't really know. You know, some of you will remember the year that a bull escaped, and that was really entertaining. But you know, at some like bulls and kids in residential neighborhoods, I don't know. We'll just we got to figure it out as it all moves forward. This year we are starting some infrastructure work further south. So within Town Center, Aspen Leaf here, south of Aspen Leaf is zoned. So even where the PBR today, it's all meant to be residential. North of Aspen Leaf is commercial, could also include residential, the way that the buildings above like Blue Buddha and stuff are today, but is where restaurants and commercial spaces and additional hotels will go. We have, you know, roads and infrastructure that will start to go in later this year, but no vertical starts right now.
We have one more question.
Sure.
What's happening with the casino at Tips Up?
Good question. I remember going in there. I should be careful how I answer this question, but there's a lot of different ideas for it. There's some thinking that like the space that as it exists today is good for folks and people enjoy it and have fun in there and it can help pay some bills. There's also views that the space can be, have a higher and better use. It could be a bigger green room for more live music that might be happening in Tips Up or other commercial space. Right this second, I don't think we're actively changing it, but it is something that is regularly discussed for continuing to evolve things. All right. On Town Center, we've got a few other renderings of Hotel Free West. We have a great design team. Had the groundbreaking last week, but a great architecture and design firm that has helped us with this project. So let's talk about housing a little bit, unless anybody has any other questions on...
Another question.
Yeah.
What is the development at the River Rock Lodge going to be?
Great question. I'm glad somebody asked that. And it's actually not in the deck because it's not a Lone Mountain Land Company project anymore. We did acquire the old River Rock Lodge from a longtime Big Sky resident and friend of ours, probably now 7 or 8 years ago, at a time, maybe later than that, but at a time when housing was incredibly challenged. We're about to talk about housing and a lot of the wins that we've had with housing. As we've had these wins with housing, the River Rock, actually its highest and best use was no longer housing. Its highest and best use would be served as being another hotel, but it's pretty small. It's only 29 keys. We did a lot of different analysis, ran a lot of different scenarios on what might be best to do with it. But we found a group called Gravity House. They have other cool kind of hip locations and other ski markets, Breckenridge, Vail, I think some in California, various other ski markets. And we did some work around doing a partnership, and then eventually it became simpler for a relatively small asset to just sell the project to Gravity Haus. So Gravity Haus closed on that in December, and they will open the Big Sky Gravity Haus later this summer. And as I mentioned, that was able to happen because the highest and best use of that property is no longer housing. You know, the sort of key steps along the way was just admittedly growth. Like as we got bigger, we needed more employee housing. The existence, and I'm not here to shame short-term rentals. Most short-term rentals are owned by locals that use that to help pay their own bills. But there's no doubt that the short-term rentals and the expansion of short-term rentals from, call it 2015 to 2020, created massive challenges in this community. There was 1,000 units. That's almost 20% of the housing stock in Big Sky that went from being locals housing, year-round housing, to short-term rental housing. It helped the resort go from 400,000 annual visitors to closer to 1 million annual skier visits, but it created a lot of challenges with this community. Then in COVID, so we before COVID, we already had a lot going on. I'm going to keep talking about that. And then COVID exacerbated it too. COVID made everything more expensive and just continued to exacerbate these housing challenges. So for us, we were a little bit chasing our tail, admittedly, but we've caught up, and we've done incredible work as a company to address the housing needs of our community. We've invested over $400 million in this initiative. It's 638 units. That is over 2,500 bedrooms. I like to say, some people talk about beds and pillows. I just like to say homes. The lingo can get a little confusing. But we are providing housing today to over 3,000 individuals, and we have additional projects at work today that will allow us to provide housing to over 4,000 local residents at full build-out. Now, that includes Gateway. We view Gateway as part of Big Sky. Some of you might live in Gateway. That's awesome. We love it there, and we want Gateway to feel as connected and as close to Big Sky as possible. But we've made a huge commitment here. Is it perfect? No. Do we have some things to address? Yes. We've got a great property management team working on things. Some of you, either yourselves or your employees, might live there. If you know of things that can be done better, come and talk to us. Come and talk to our property management team. But while there might be some people in Big Sky that don't like it when I talk about this, but we are so proud of how many more locals call Big Sky home than 4 or 5 years ago. And we think that is an unbelievably positive thing. We're going to keep doing more. We're going to talk a little bit about the broader community dynamics later on, but touching now on Cold Smoke, this project is a big deal. So to date, everything that we have done has been around building rental project. And we need rental projects first and foremost. And to be able to have 3,000 employees, they got to have a place to live. And look, let's be real. There's a seasonality to Big Sky that will exist forever. There will be a notion, we will rely on international workers to be a meaningful part of our winter workforce forever. Like, these are things that are facts that we build into what we're doing. We also want to be a year-round community and have options for folks. And so I started working on Cold Smoke prior to when we bought Town Center. I started working on Cold Smoke back in 2019. I'm not going to tell the whole story today. I kind of did last week if you want to go back and watch that video twice like my mother. But anyways, I'm not going to tell the whole story today. But this has been incredibly important. We've been working on it, and to try to build a community where there would have a meaningful amount of ownership opportunities for folks to be able to put down roots. The single biggest challenge in Big Sky today is housing affordability. I don't have this graph in this presentation, but for a long time, if you made plus or minus 100% of Gallatin County median income, you could afford to buy a home in Big Sky. And I know many of us that have been able to do that over the last 10 years. Today, and part of this is interest rates, part of this is other things, you have to have a 450% income to be able to afford to buy a house in Big Sky today. Look, we want to be a great employer. We want to pay people a lot of money, but 450% of median that's a crazy number. Like, that's an unsustainable number. And so we've been working on this project for a very long time. It is a complex project, the way it's come together with the housing trust and the resort tax. It's a public and private partnership. We don't have all the answers and all the details. I'll tell you this, though. My goal is for Lone Mountain Land Company employees to be able to have a lot of opportunities to buy these homes. YC employees, Spanish Peaks employees, Moonlight employees. If you're working in Big Sky today and you want to live here and you don't, I hope that this project gives you the chance to buy a house that you might not otherwise get in the market. It's why we're doing it, for you guys.
Matt, we have a question of whether the LMLC employees are prioritized.
No, not formally, not legally. I think there's a practicality to it that you guys are going to be best positioned to be able to buy and to transact. But that isn't there are more, if you look at us as a family of businesses, there are more Lone Mountain Land Company employees than anybody else in Big Sky, bigger than Big Sky Resort. I hope a lot of Big Sky Resort employees also have the chance to buy. So there's not a formality to the priority, but the opportunity we certainly hope is there for everyone that is interested.
And is the Cold Smoke housing income capped?
Yes, but we are really trying to design, and when I say we, there's a lot of we's, but we, including the housing trust, including the resort tax, are trying to design those caps for a really wide spectrum of the market. Like, it's pretty high incomes, and again, we want to be a great employer, we want to pay people a lot of money, but it's pretty high incomes that we're trying to help to still be able to buy a home. So there are caps, but wide ranges is the goal. The project will have 389 units, a mix of single family and apartments. Some of the apartments may still be rental. Some of the apartments may end up being home ownership. It's also like, I kind of want this project to take 10 or 15 years. The goal isn't for it to all be done in 2. Like, let it play out over time. Let the community grow and evolve into it and create these opportunities for ownership. Any other questions on Cold Smoke? We're going to keep going because I bet people are thirsty. Oh, yes, ma'am. Zach. The question is, will we ever consider adding 4-bedroom homes into the project? I think that's a possibility. I think some of the 3-bedroom homes could also, have kind of like a little bit of an extra space that maybe doesn't have a closet. So like on MLS, it's not a 4-bedroom legally, but it could live as a 4-bedroom. There's also, Town Center is more likely the housing that exists in Town Center will be market rate. It's not developed through the housing trust, but what we do in Town Center, we would hope, is community housing as well. Like, we don't want it to be Airbnb and short-term rentals. Some of it might be a little bit. That's okay. I'm not shaming them. But the point is, we want it to be vibrant, and there might be individuals. Cold Smoke is not your only opportunity to buy real estate. There will be stuff in Town Center. I don't have a slide on it today, but we're developing 26 lots in Upper Whitefish. There might be individuals. There's some that we're already talking to that are interested in, being able to buy a lot. Upper Whitefish is an extension of the South Fork neighborhood, and particularly if someone's got sort of sweat equity they want to put into building their own house, that might be a great option for folks. So Cold Smoke is a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the end-all, be-all. There are other housing solutions for folks.
Matt, will Cold Smoke be managed by Lone Mountain Management?
Great question. So I'm going to there's 2 different components to this, and this is, like kind of the inside scoop. But the deal that we have with the Housing Trust is to sell the Housing Trust the property, and then for Lone Mountain Land Company to ground lease the multifamily. So then in that instance, we would be entirely in control of what happens with the multifamily. We would property manage it, we would rent it, we would sell it, we would be fully in control of the multifamily with some agreements around income and pricing restrictions. On the single family side, that will all end up being like public bids and public processes and managed through the housing trust. So it may be something that well, I shouldn't say that actually. Like, the goal is to be able to build those homes as efficiently and inexpensively but high quality as possible. And if we can play the right role in that, we're all for it. Anything else? We're good. Okay. All right. Happy to talk more about Cold Smoke. If you are interested as an individual in engaging more in housing around Cold Smoke, around Town Center, around Upper Whitefish, any of these things, come and talk to myself or Anna or Krista or Kreider or Sean or the GMs. Like, we're here to engage on it. Like, thank you for being here, and we want you to be here as long as you want. Let's talk about MSU. You know, it's interesting how MSU has turned into this amazing sort of tool or capacity to be able to build community and to be able to build connectivity between Bozeman and Big Sky. Like, who doesn't love going to a October Saturday afternoon football game? Like, everybody, whether you're a member of the construction and development teams or operations. And so just the sort of leaning into that, into the athletics, has been something that I think Lone Mountain Land Company has gotten a lot out of the last couple of years, and we continue to do that, lean in on athletics as a tool for community building. It's also education, you know, like, and I think of myself as a lifelong learner. Like, and I don't want to go too deep on those tangents, but come talk to me outside later on, and I'll talk to you about Thomas Jefferson's philosophies on lifelong learning. But the point is, leaning in on education is incredibly important to us. We'll talk about this more later. We are not a philanthropy, we're a business, but we just made the largest philanthropic gift we've ever given. $5 million commitment to MSU, $1 million to help support programming in the hospitality school. I say it's philanthropy. It's also an investment in our future, in our collective future for Big Sky as a tourism-based economy, as a resort destination. We made $1 million investment in the hospitality school and a $4 million investment to help finish the construction of Gallatin College. Now, a lot happens in Gallatin College. Maybe some of you have been there, or some of your employees have attended there or will attend there in the future. There's a lot of different trades, from food and beverage to various construction trades, that all are taught through Gallatin College, and it's a great option for many, many people. So we've leaned in heavily to these connections. We've long had this vision that a on-campus hotel could also be a huge asset. This was a vision Sam had going back more than 10 years. I remember we went to a football game, back to that, with President Cruzado. It was actually a Cat Grizz game in like 2012 or 2014 or something. And we talked about, wouldn't it be great to build an on-campus hotel? And so we were very pleased to be announcing this prior to President Cruzado retiring. But to be able to build an on-campus teaching hotel for the university is a big deal for Lone Mountain Land Company. This is also an investment. This is not philanthropy. Sometimes there's overlapping philanthropy, but this is an investment with the university. It's under a ground lease structure with the university. We've got a bit of work to do before we fully break ground, but we hope to be fully under construction on the VIM later this year.
Matt, an employee is wondering where exactly on campus will it be located?
Yeah, I should have put the map here, and I am easily lost on campus at MSU for some reason, having not been a Bobcat myself. But it's close to like the Norm Abrams, how do you say that, the engineering hall, like on that street. There's a Gianforte building being built as well, Gallatin College. Right by the parking garage, yeah. All right. Some renderings. The MSU also has, or the VIM also has, a rooftop restaurant and bar that we've conceptualized as a big kind of faculty and community gathering place on campus at MSU. Transitioning a little bit, and in a few minutes we're going to talk more about community, and then we're going to get into some fun announcements, and then we're going to socialize. But I touched on this briefly earlier, but I always, anytime I'm talking to a key audience, we like to talk about our commitment to environmental stewardship, because I think it's really not normal how big of a commitment that we make in this space and to this place. And having Rich Chandler, I hope Rich is here, maybe not, but Rich and his team, Jeff Kadri and everyone that's helping us manage, almost 30,000 acres, a deep commitment to wildlife. I like to also talk about the fact that Big Sky is 50,000 acres plus or minus of private land between, our projects, the resort, the whole meadow, surrounded by 6 million acres of federally protected wildlife. And so then we have a huge responsibility to do right by that 50,000 acres. There's people out there that try to badmouth us that we have to deal with. They don't know what they're talking about. Like, our systems are top notch. The water that we recycle from the Big Sky community's wastewater, we recycle it and we turn it into snow. We're going to watch a video on that in a minute, but sort of teeing that up, I just want to again make the point. The vast majority of every single community in America takes their treated wastewater and they put it down some body of water. In Bozeman, you send it right down the East Gallatin. In Boston, they send it right into Boston Harbor. In Big Sky, we don't do that. We take the water, we store it, and we recycle it. Historically, through golf courses and irrigation, and now through snow. And we're going to play a video so you can hear it from the experts, not just from me.
To the core, this story is about water conservation. It's about treating this water to the highest quality we can and beneficially using it in a safe and healthy way to recreate on. My name is Rich Chandler. I'm the Director of Environmental Operations for the Yellowstone Club. We're looking at taking this water, 25 million gallons total, and instead of putting it into the river directly like every other municipality does, it's about taking it and storing it in our upper watershed. By doing that, we don't have to use that same water to make snow out of the aquifer. We can store that water up high to help recharge the aquifer later in the season. That 25 million gallons, if you break it down just in the simple math, that's 50 gallons a minute that we're putting back into this system, 24/7, 365. We test this water weekly to ensure that there's no bacteria, pathogens, or viruses within the water while we're making snow.
My name is Kristen Gardner. I'm CEO of the Gallatin River Task Force. We work to protect and enhance the health of the Gallatin River watershed. We are very excited about this snowmaking project. We've been involved for over a decade collecting data, and all the data points to this water being very beneficial to the water supply of the Gallatin River, and will ensure that our future generations are able to enjoy the river as we do today.
The benefits of this project are actually an enhancement to the watershed function. It's an enhancement to water supply, to water quality in the basin. So everybody from skiers to anglers will benefit from this, and downstream agriculture benefits at a time where water supply is uncertain.
To turn the switch 12 years later on this, it's just so incredibly worthwhile to watch this project finally come to fruition. We went from theory to permitting to construction, and just recently we turned the guns on. And this is a celebration not just for us, but for the community.
Cool. Any questions on that? We're going to keep going with it. Like, this isn't like, oh, that's that, and that's all the recycled snowmaking we'll ever have. The system is very close. The approvals are very close on Spanish Peaks. It'll happen one day at Moonlight. and it probably happens throughout most of Big Sky Resort over time, that our snowmaking is across the whole market is recycled water.
We do have a question online of other sustainability goals or a goal for Big Sky and the private clubs to be plastic free.
We were close on that pre-COVID, and then like all the individual packaging and stuff, we kind of lost it a little bit. I also I think it's hard to recycle even aluminum in Big Sky. So all the single-use aluminum that we use, I think a lot of it still ends up at Three Forks in the dump. I think it's hard to totally mandate these things. Like, it's hard to require everyone that comes into a hotel to, reuse their bottle. What I would challenge all of us and myself to do, I think I left my water bottle in the car, but lead by example. Use our own, don't use single-use containers. Lead by example. We will continue to give our guests, our visitors, our employees as much of an opportunity to reuse their containers as possible, and let's lead by example.
Are we working towards recycling for employees and residents living in the Gateway Village?
Yes. I think the state of Montana and the greater Southwest Montana has work to do on recycling. Let's just be real for a second. It's not as simple as having a blue bin in your garage. What happens after the blue bin gets picked up? But yes, we certainly want to do our part to help everyone and anyone living in our projects to be able to recycle as best as possible.
Are there updates on Jack Creek Road opening to the public?
Well, I wasn't going to make those jokes, but people were asking the questions. But the joke is that when I a couple years ago I was buying something in Bozeman, and the guy said, "Oh, did you hear they're paving the Jack Creek Road?" And I can guarantee you we will never pave the Jack Creek Road, and we will also never make it open to the public. It's Kevin's biggest legacy, Kevin Germain, to ensure that is there as a wildlife corridor connecting the two sections of Lee Metcalf Wilderness. So it's just not going to happen. Now, look, the road's there. Ask Monty. He drives it every day. If you live in Ennis and if you want to live in Ennis and work in Big Sky, it is available to you. And Monty says it's great. Thank you. If there's an emergency and people need to leave Big Sky that way, it's open. You can go and you can use it. If you're a skier and you live in the Madison Valley, you can use it. It's also not that hard to get the code. Come ask me. I'll tell you. Kevin and Justin won't like hearing that, but it's not fully open to the public, and that's part of the long-term strategy. All right, I'm only going to spend a couple more minutes on community because I'd like to socialize more too, and then we're going to ask Carrie to come up and help me with a few fun announcements. But I did want to comment that we've been working really hard to make sure the rest of Montana knows how important Big Sky is to the rest of Montana. I've served this last year on the State Chamber of Commerce Board, and a really interesting thing that I've learned through that is that somehow across the state today, mining is generally viewed as more politically popular than tourism, and we have some work to do. But Big Sky is incredibly important to the state of Montana and incredibly important to Southwest Montana and to Gallatin and Madison counties. 1 in 3 jobs across the counties are tied to Big Sky. It's kind of interesting. There's a lot going on in Bozeman, a lot of development. I don't mean to go down too much of a tangent. Other than the university, and really just the university, I'm not sure Bozeman realizes it also has a tourism-based economy, and we are the driver of it. But we are. We are the driver of Bozeman's economy. Across the state of Montana, property taxes, we sent out property taxes are kind of a rabbit hole I'm not going to go down now. We sent out some really key analysis, the point on trying to help homeowners understand that they are paying a lot, but they're not paying an excessive amount, and the money is mostly going to pay school education across the state, which is a good thing. But for our little town of 3,800 residents, we are 8% of the state's taxable value. And that number's going up. That number's going up. With the next round of valuations and appraisals, like that's growing up. That is a massive amount for 0.35% of the state's population. Big Sky wants to be generous with the rest of Montana, but we also want to be able to take care of ourselves. And that's the advocacy that we do across the state. Amazing things have been accomplished in this community the last decade. The hospital base, the way we've been able to use legislation to build infrastructure, the Tiger Grant, the airport expansion. Brian Springer and the team at the airport is amazing. And the beauty of our airport as owners is that not only do we have all this capacity for the tourists to come here and experience our economy, but it's way easier for us to go and visit other places with all these flights as Montanans. And we see the Bozeman Airport as something that's great for the state of Montana and our housing accomplishments. But I'll tell you guys this, for all we've accomplished the last 10 years, I think the next 10 years, it's going to be even more. Like, we are on the verge. We are at the tipping point of truly amazing things in this community. I was kind of worried about the ballot initiative, because there's a lot of people that would have liked to have voted, but they don't live in Big Sky. You only got to vote on this ballot initiative, and I'm going to assume everyone's reasonably well educated on what that is, what that was. I'm not going to explain it all, but that there was a lot of people that would have liked to have voted yes that don't live within the district and so didn't get to vote. And inside the vote, 62% of people said yes. It was really a referendum on us. It kind of was. It was really a referendum on development. And I think about the 38% of people that voted no. I do. I think about them. I think about what's important to them, what they might like to see differently. But I'm incredibly proud of the ballot initiative and the results of this. And it's a statement of who this community wants to be. We want to be that world-class resort destination, and we want to be a thriving year-round community. We have a lot of amazing resources in this community, starting with resort tax, and we're investing them. This is not normal. It's not normal. It's not what other places are doing. It's not how other communities operate. We're doing amazing things here that are going to pay huge dividends going forward. Philanthropy is a key piece of this as well. I want to recognize the YCCF team and Sierra, Spanish Peaks Community Foundation, and Hannah and Anna and the Moonlight Community Foundation. Amazing things are happening with philanthropy in this community that will make all of our lives better over the coming decade. It's amazing to have the degrees of generosity that we do. And it's not only on the giving side, it's also the fact that we have Big Sky's unincorporated. I'm not talking about that much today. I don't mean to go down too much of a tangent, but part of the culture of this place is the diversity in community partnerships and resources and entities and organizations that make this place function, that create the culture that we have. And it's amazing. So as I said earlier, get involved, be involved. That's how to make a difference. What's next for us? Our biggest next initiative, of course, there's still 10,000 things to do for cold smoke and housing and everything else, but our company is making a huge commitment to childcare. I have 3 kids. I love them. Kids are amazing, and we want to make it easier for our team members to have children. Make it easier for this community to have kids as we build this more housing. So we've got Gallatin River Childcare, which already operates in Gateway, opening an infant care location in Big Sky this fall. And then we continue to work with Morningstar and with Discovery to make sure there's various options for early childhood education and childcare. And so big philanthropic and business initiative for us moving forward. We produced this, we get asked all the time for sponsorships and for support and, money, and we try to say yes, despite not being a philanthropy and being a business and having investors and owners and other stakeholders to respond to, we really do try to say yes. And I think most people don't realize, actually, all the ways that we say yes. And so one of the things we're trying to do is be better about educating folks on what we do as a community. We want you to be proud of working here. And so we've produced this community impact report. We don't have hard copies here today, but we will email it out to everyone over the next day or two and read through it. Some of it we've touched on, some of it was in last week's presentation, but not all of it. Read through it, understand what we're doing to make our communities better in all the ways that we're giving back. And with that, I'd like to invite Carrie Messina, our Vice President of HR, to come up and give a few other updates. And then I'll be back.
Is this working? Okay, good. Well, I have the best part of the presentation because I'm just giving it away. It's like Oprah in here right now, all right? So as we talk about striving for greatness in member experiences, we also have to strive for greatness with the employee experience. And as we continue to be a premier employer, we have to continue to be a premier employer giving the greatness of experience to our employees. So the first one up was we unified the clubs with the PTO policy. So at Spanish Peaks and YC, for example, we have holidays. Well, who gets the holidays off if you're working in those operations? Never. So it's a fake holiday, because you don't really get it off. So we're going to let you choose your holiday. We've aligned all the clubs with PTO now, and this will empower employees to choose days that meet their family needs, their cultural needs, and also works with shoulder season. It's been a big thing for our hourly employees that transfer between clubs or work both clubs. Which program do I get? And so this way, everybody will have the same programming. This one is huge. Paid leave for our moms that have babies, and 12 weeks, 100% fully paid while you're out on FMLA. So, really big deal. And for our dads that qualify for FMLA, we're going to give you 4 weeks of paid leave as well. Yeah. So our employee referral program, greatness hangs out with greatness. So we want our employees' friends, and we want our employees to be able to refer employees for positions at any of our locations. So if you work at YC and you refer to somebody to YC, you'll get a $500 referral bonus. If you work at YC and you refer somebody to Crazy Mountain Ranch, you're going to get a $500 referral bonus. Just to give you an example, at YC, we've had the program for 4 years now. We have an employee who's earned $10,000 over the 4 years. He's like the biggest recruiter. So it's a revenue stream to get some free cash. How does it go to the next slide? Oh, there we go. Now this one's my favorite. So I hear from employees all the time that they want to expand and grow. And so now if you are a full-time year-round employee with 1 year of service, we're going to offer tuition reimbursement to an accredited college or a trade school and up to $5,250 a year. Big deal, yeah. So I'm excited about that one. As we partner with MSU and Gallatin College, this will really be an incentive for our employees. And also shows that we're investing. We care about you enough. We want to invest in your growth wherever you choose. The only requirement that we ask on this is that it's a career path within one of our companies. Succession planning. So as we have opportunities grow, as we grow as a company, we want to make sure that we identify the high potential employees within our company. The HR teams are going to work with the GMs to identify the high potentials. And this way, we're going to sit down with each high potential employee, talk about where do they want to go, what do they want to be, and so we can get them there. We're also going to make sure that we have a pipeline, so when opportunities arise at our other locations, we have a pipeline of leadership ready to go. We also want our high potential employees to know, we know you're high potential. We don't want you to go anywhere. We're going to invest in you. We're going to provide executive coaching, mentorship, training, extra responsibilities, and making sure that you know that we care about you, and we're going to invest in making sure that you have a career here with us, that you're not going anywhere. In fact, there's been a lot of examples. Like Doran Zimmerman's here. He was a special events manager here at YC, and now he's director of special events at Moonlight Basin. So we're already starting to see the crossover, and it's really cool. So that's it. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, more good stuff to come. We want to be the employer of choice, period, everywhere. Not just like in Big Sky or Montana or the Rocky Mountains, whatever, period. All right, this is Oh, actually, so in the next slide here, the next thing I would like to do, and if you've been promoted in the last year, most of this happened at the end of last year, but we didn't announce it all really. But if you've been promoted in the last year, please stand up and be recognized. Congratulations to, I'm not going to read all the names here, but congratulations to everyone that's been promoted. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys. So next is I think I'm most looking forward to this portion, and by the way, then we're going to be done. But I'm also kind of the least prepared, so you're going to have to bear with me. But we've been talking about this for a while, and have tried to come up with you've heard us talk about that striving for greatness. Well, we've been trying to come up with an award to recognize greatness amongst our team members and greatness amongst the employees. And now, first of all, I want to say, if you're not getting this award today, don't be sad. It's okay. You might be able to keep working hard, maybe next year or the year after. But we're incredibly excited today to start to do this, to release the Rock of Recognition Award. And there's a number of individuals. It's not just one individual. I believe there's, again, I told you I wasn't that prepared. I believe there's 10 individuals that we have selected amongst our family of businesses for this initial Rock of Recognition Award. Now, you will get an actual rock that looks like that. And you can put it on your desk, or you can take it home and put it on your counter or your nightstand or whatever you want to do with the rock. But it is to recognize your tremendous work for the company. Now, unfortunately, the rocks didn't make it here today. The shipping, I think, they're kind of heavy, the extra shipping, but the rocks will be here soon, and we will deliver all of the winners with their rocks. What else did I miss here? This is at the senior director level and below, who consistently go above and beyond in their roles. These individuals demonstrate exceptional dedication, leadership, and initiative within their departments, taking ownership of their responsibilities and fostering a culture of success. So, with that, I would like to announce, and what I'd like to do is, although I don't have a rock to give you, but as I call your name, come up and be recognized, and then you can go sit back down if you don't want to stand up here while I call all 10 individuals. But the first individual that I would like to recognize with the Rock of Recognition is from our accounting team, Amy Arneson. So Amy joined YC in 2012. Yeah, Amy, just come on up. I'm just going to shake your hand, but Amy joined in 2012. Congratulations, Amy. And she's done unbelievable work with the foundations and with POAs. How many POAs do you now manage accounting for, Amy? 39 different entities. No way. That's amazing. That is a lot of work. So a huge congratulations to you, Amy, and thank you for all that you do. Okay, next up, I would like to recognize Brian Dalrymple. I hope I said that right. I've practiced. Who runs our YC wastewater plant. Is Brian here? I hope. The wastewater team, they're behind the scenes by definition, but they deserve to be. If there were problems, he'd probably be recognized, but there's not. They're not recognized because there's no problems. Brian does an unbelievable job. He's been on the team since 2022. He approaches each day with positivity, optimism, and here's the key word, accuracy, and is always willing to go above and beyond in his work and solving problems. So, Brian, you're not here, but thank you. Next, I would like to recognize Kyle Fench. Kyle is a recent college graduate from MSU, go Bobcats, mechanical engineering degree, and has transitioned to a full-fledged project manager on the One and Only, managing many complex portions of the One and Only, including the Sky Lodge, the gondola, guest cabins. I'd say personally, Kyle is someone that I've been able to rely on extensively if we have tours to make. I know that he will be able to explain the project and carry himself very professionally. And we're very pleased with how the One and Only construction has gone. And Kyle, you've been a huge part of that. So congratulations. Yeah, thank you. All right, next up, he's been running around. I saw him because he's on the clock right now. He's working hard. Ben Foster from YC. So Ben joined YC in 2019, and I would say, like, who has sold more booze in Montana than you since 2019? No chance anybody else. So, yeah, Ben, thank you for all the work that you do. Running a lot of complex, the liquor license stuff that Ben has to deal with is very complicated, but thank you for all the great work that you do, Ben. You deserve to be recognized. Yeah. All right, next up is a member of our Crazy Mountain Ranch team, and he was actually with the ranch prior to our purchase. Some of you might know that when we have these sorts of situations, we've had it in other instances, but I call the employees easements. It's kind of like they ran with the land. Like we had the benefit of inheriting this individual with our investment in Crazy Mountain Ranch, but he does an unbelievable job entertaining a lot of big individuals and running a great staff of amazing outdoor activities. Now as the full promoted to Director of Operations for Crazy Mountain Ranch, I'd like to recognize Matt Grubb. Yeah. Congratulations, Matt. Yeah. Next up, he joined Moonlight in 2015. That's not quite our inception, but pretty darn close. He's a constant presence and smiling, happy presence with the members. He gets it done. When I have something at Moonlight that we need to process, including, maybe I gave somebody the Jackery Grove code that I shouldn't have. Justin Hatovi is who I call. So Justin, come be recognized. Congratulations. I hope, yeah. From all the way in the back. You're the man. You're the man, Justin. Hey, congratulations. Thank you for all that you do. Yeah. Okay. Next up is the newest member of the team who's being recognized today, Brandon Moore. Brandon is our Spanish Peaks Director of People. He joined in 2023, not quite 2 years. I've only gotten to know Brandon a little bit, but the way he carries himself and the work that he does with the team is unbelievable, and he deserves to be recognized. So thank you, Brandon. Hey, great job. Yeah. Okay. Next up is an individual that I throw stuff at all the time. She gets it done. She produces all sorts of materials that are beautiful and that make us all look really good, and has the ability to look at each individual project both with the lens of the project and the company and the community in totality. And I want to recognize Emily Wagner, our Senior Director of Marketing with the Rock of Recognition. Yeah. Next up is our individual being recognized today who's been here the longest. He joined Yellowstone Club in 2023 overseeing a very small and young property management business, and he's seen it grow today to be quite large. I'd like to recognize Ben Whaley, our Director of Property Management at YC. Thanks, Ben. Congratulations. Yeah, thank you. All right, and last but not least, these have been alphabetical by last name. I briefly mentioned him earlier. He joined the YC department in 2019, I did once refer to him as a spreadsheet ninja. He helps us keep all of our spreadsheets and financial analysis. It's just incredible work, and I'd like to recognize Patrick Smorrell from our account. Behind the scenes, Patrick's done a lot of work with kind of all of this transition in the Lone Mountain Land Company umbrella. Patrick's been very extensively involved in that, so congratulations. Yeah, thank you. What I also would have liked to have told you about each of those 10 individuals is something fun that they like to do when they're not at work. So, we can take some time in the next social hour when we're talking to each other and talk about that sort of stuff too, because it's not all work all the time. We like to do some things outside of the office. So that's it. If we have any other questions, or come talk to us afterwards. I really appreciate you guys being here today. I hope there was something of value to each of you. And let's go hang out and have a little bit of fun.
1 second.
Thank you.
Can all of the rock recognition recipients come back up for a photo, please?
The marketing team always
Sorry.
wants to take pictures. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.